Hi there, everybody. This is Mark Bromley, the author and artist of the Yoranthium book series. And today for you, I have an update on Lower Kinowealth drawing that I showed you a little bit earlier when I did the sketch. I showed you the sketch. Now I show you the second phase of that drawing. It's still a work in progress. It's not actually finished yet. It's taken a little bit long because I'm like working on several different things. I'm combing through my last final drafts of the 6x9 hardback book of the Yoranthium book series, Lost Hope, Book 1, that should be released here shortly. And I've been going through that, just combing through, just to make sure it's perfect, because once I print it up, I'm going to be sending a copy of it to the Library of Congress and establishing the book series a lot more thoroughly and more rigidly. A lot of people asked, why don't I go through the regular processes of like finding a publisher and stuff like that? I would if they actually offered me a traditional contract, meaning that they actually gave me some money to buy my book and actually help me get it put into bookstores. Then yeah, sure, I would go for that. But here in cheap, stingy, hateful USA, where they're trying to control the message and everybody has to pander to their platform of the Nazi emerge, Nazi Soros groups and the Nazi World Economic Forum of the Gazis, which, GAZI, that's how it's spelled for the globalist socialism that's going on in the world right now. The globalists are the Nazis. It's the new form. They failed with socialism. They failed with communism. They failed with National Socialism. And they think they learned their lessons, so they're trying it again on a global level. I wonder if we actually colonize the moon and Mars, will they do it on a solar system level, become socialist solar system Nazis? I know it's S's instead. Oh yeah, see, like Nazis right there, SS. And they went with the CC, CCCP. A lot of your Democrat states, don't you have a lot of CCC something or another going on? Yeah, we have a lot of CCC side jobs created by our city council here in North Korea, Northland, Colorado, where they keep me oppressed and unpaid and uncompensated and without any kind of wealth whatsoever. And then they make these demands that they sit there and say, oh, you wrote a very big book that's like 700 pages. It's a real novel. Well, you know what? We want to charge you over $10,000 for it. And it's like, that's not why I wrote the book. I wrote the book so I can make some kind of money. And it's like, well, how much money do you think you're going to make? And it's like, well, honestly, I just wanted to make just a little bit of money, 5,000, 10,000, something to encourage me to release the second and the third book, so on and so forth. I really didn't expect a whole lot of money from my first book sales, because I hear on most books, even if you do well, you could probably only expect in the first year about $20,000 off of something like that if you're a well-known artist. And that was based off of knowledge of other Colorado artists that did the horror genre here in the state of Colorado, and he had quite a few novels. And that was stated that that's what he got from the books, was usually around about 20,000. So I wasn't expecting that much. I was expecting just enough to make it worthwhile to spend another month to write another book. That's like almost 700 pages, 6x9. But no, I didn't get that kind of stuff, and well, it's kind of frustrating here, having to deal with that kind of cheapness and stinginess. I mean, I wouldn't have to write these books if I was actually treated fairly. When George W. Bush was in office, over in the shipyards in California, they paid a minimum of $25 an hour for any job. It didn't really matter if you had a license, if you were actually professional, if you had skills. It didn't matter. You'd get $25 an hour. Then Obama and Biden came along. They shut down the government contracts. They laid everybody off in the shipyards. Not only that, every single business across the state of California was closing down and firing people left and right. That the streets filled up. The street corners were full of families and homelessness. Homelessness that still people have not recovered from. Not at all. Not even one bit. Not even a smidge. They're still in that terrible situation because of what Biden and Obama did. They're still in that situation. But anyways, after Biden and Obama came in, they tried to hire us back through Aerotech and Tech Systems. And the reality is They just wanted to pay us less than $15 an hour. Even McDonald's down the street was paying higher than $15 an hour in California. But they weren't hiring anybody. They were firing people too, because, that's what happens when you get crazy Democrats in office. They don't care about paying people. They care more about slavery and indentured servitude and volunteering than they care about paying people a living wage to survive. When the rent is ridiculous and the food prices are ridiculous, the gas prices are even more absurd, and they don't care about that. They don't care what it costs for a person to try to get by. They don't understand the differences between a skilled trade job and a government employee, people who are paid by the government. Yeah, they want to take all your tax money, pay themselves a lot of money, but they don't want to pay us, the highly skilled, the very knowledgeable, the technically adept, and people who can actually write actual books. They don't want to pay us. They don't think we deserve to get paid at all, not a single dime here in the United States, and they keep us in poverty and homelessness forever. So yeah, I wrote one book, and this is a picture of Lower Kinowealth. I didn't mean to drag you guys into that whole entire thing, so you guys can understand my problem here. But yeah, I was doing this drawing of Lower Kinowealth. That's the light source in the background. It's actually in the low energy state. There's a high energy state, which makes this cavernous scene look more illuminated because there's a couple of growth things. There's a power plant. There's a water source. There's quite a few other things that go on here in Lower Kennelwealth, and it's actually part of a much broader story when the other books start coming out. But this will be a much later part of the book, probably in Land of the Potentate Part 2, that you'll actually run into this, because it'll be mentioned that there is this second founding called Kennelwealth. And Kennelwealth, there's an upper Kennelwealth and there's a lower Kennelwealth. This is where you get introduced to some of the subterranean cultures within the book series and what they actually represent and mean, because that technology that I show you in the first book, the buildings and the structures, it's all part of a different thing that's been going on for some time that isn't really truly explained in the first book, but it starts to get explained a little bit later when we reach the book Incursion 2.x. And once we reach there, it starts to explain that kind of story. And it's B. Satoria's story. And it introduces a lot of different characters and a lot of different ideas get introduced in that. And, well, you'll see some of that in the second book, the Book of Gentru, also talks about this. And as the books go on, you'll see that they talk about several different topics and issues, kind of like how I talk about issues and topics throughout my videos while talking about the artwork that I'm creating for the book series. Now, you're probably saying, what happened to the AI, Mark? Where did that all go? Well, I've been trying to work with the Copilot access to the GPT, Chat GPT and DALL-E 3, but it keeps blocking pictures. I got a new questionnaire on YouTube here about what's in my videos, who's in my videos, because apparently I guess they're trying to use some thought police, some thought control, and I guess they're trying to be basically dictators. No matter what you create, they want to control and guide that message, and that's the cult of woke, the cult of the far left, and that is the true tyranny and the oppression of the Nazis, the revival of it in the globalist format, the globalist socialists. This is exactly what these foreign oligarchs are buying through the Democrat Party. Wow. You thought this was America. You thought we were in the United States. Nope, we're not. We're in Nazi Germany, Part 2. Uh, World War III is on the horizon. And they want to cause a lot of problems. I mean, geez, some of the questionnaires I get because I'm running for public office sounds like a madman wrote them, because you can feel the frustration, the hastiness, the harassment that they got going on because they wanted to build all willy-nilly, like to like have no laws, no rules about how communities are built. But we're already facing that in North Korea and Northland here because they're building all willy-nilly like, and some of the stuff that they're building is destroying the biome. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. It's only going to create pollution in the long run, because right where I live here in Denver, Colorado, the pollution has nowhere to go. Once it's here, it stays. It stays for a long time unless you're literally pulling it out of the air and recycling it and actually pulling that stuff back out of the air. It's the only way to get rid of it because it's not going to go anywhere. And where would it go? It's going to hit something. There's going to be a wall somewhere where it starts to stagnate in somebody else's yard, right? In somebody else's backyard. And that's the problem that's going on right now that we actually see that they don't actually see that when you're thinking about building for the future, you got to be thinking about building for the sustainability of the environment, the biome itself. And this is what Lower Kinowealth actually represents within the book series. This is that frustration that I have with our current politicians, our current political system, and their crazy legislation and their crazy ideas by a bunch of inept, irresponsible people who just got a college degree and decided to that they know everything when they know nothing. And they're not really doing their job. They're just being ridiculously silly in what they're thinking about because it makes no sense what they're trying to do. And and that's what we talk about in the Yoranthium book series. And one of the things I want to talk about the most is that here in Denver, Colorado, I talked to some of the science fiction and fantasy people that hold the conventions for writers, and I'm sitting there wondering, why am I not on that list? I took a look at the people that they want as their Toastmasters, that they're promoting at the tables and at the author things, and I looked at their website, I looked at their books, and they have these tiny little, thin little books, 150 to 250 pages, 6 by 9, and they're not novels, they're novellas. They don't even pass 400 pages. You have to pass 400 pages for an actual official novel to officially call it a novel. If you don't pass 400 pages, you don't really have a novel. You have a novella. That's all you have. It's a short content. It's small content, but that's all they have is these small content books. They wrote 8.5 by 11-inch, about 150, 170 pages, and then when they trimmed it down to 6 by 9, if they kept it at .12, then they'd end up with probably 250 pages, and that's what they got. Just a small novella. They're not really strong writers, but yet they're being picked up by the cult of woke, the cult of the left, the cult of the Nazi emerge group members, and funded by the Nazi Soros, and they're just putting out the garbage message that they've been told to put out there. They're just doing programming, indoctrination, and grooming. That's all they're doing. And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute. Why aren't you picking up my book? Why are you picking up their book? They're obviously being helped by a bunch of publishers to put these books out. Why are they being helped and I'm not being helped? I have a real book. I have a book when I trim it down to 6 by 9. It's roughly around 650 to 690 pages. It keeps changing because I keep editing some stuff in order to fit that exact look of the 6 by 9 book, how it's going to have to look. So I'm still working on that one before I release it. And basically, that's what you're looking at: 650 to 690 pages in a 6 by 9 book. It's a real novel. It's about 2 inches thick on the spine. It's a good read. It's definitely a strong readable book, like most books out there. So why am I having to fight this? Why am I having to deal with a situation where I'm not being funded and these people are being funded? Why am I being discriminated against? That's exactly what it is. It's discrimination. It's open discrimination by these globalist socialist Nazis. And it's right here in North Korea, North Glen, Colorado, trying to keep people in poverty, trying to keep them homeless, trying to keep them as poor as they can keep them. And it's discrimination. That's exactly all it comes down to. It's directly discrimination by the globalists, by Soros, by his Nazi emerge group. And that's exactly why I'm so pissed off. That's why I started writing this book, because I am pissed off about all that stuff. Because it shouldn't have been that hard. When I first started running, I was expecting a friendly election where people were going to be friendly. They weren't friendly. They were hostile. Right off the bat, hostile. Because that's all they know. That's all the Nazi emerge members keep teaching their members. How to be bad people, how to be monsters, how to be terrible people. You know, the only decent election I ran in was in Moab, Utah, and it was kind of friendly at first. I only ran into two people that were hostile and mean, and they were with the Democrats in Moab, Utah. They were incredibly hostile, incredibly mean. They did not have to say what they said and what they did. They didn't have to do that at all. There was no need for it. There was no call for it. But that's what the United States has turned people into, monsters, all because they started to follow this globalist socialism of sociology, psychology, and political science, and that gender studies. Those four fake sciences, pseudosciences, the false sciences, were created in the 20th century and put into our school system and our college system. Now they're putting it in our public schools, the high schools, the junior highs, the STEM schools, and those the sociology, psychology, political science, and gender studies they created in the 20th century two world wars, the use of atomic warfare, the increases and the escalation of radiological, biological, and chemical warfare to a place that to a untenable condition where they can literally use a two-part Novichok nerve agent through any number of vehicles to deliver it to population centers and wipe them out quickly and easily. If you follow the current legislation that these Nazi emerge members are pushing, hidden within all sorts of weird legislation that they try to speed through the House and the Senate. They speed it. They speed run these things. They move them through as fast as they can. They even try to make it legal so they could use robot voices or automate AI to read it, and they can speed up that AI speed at the speed that the AI wants to talk at. So if they want it to go 100 times faster, it'll just be a blurb, and it'll be like 20 pages of legislation read in less than a second, and then they vote on it. That's how corrupt they are. That's how criminal our justice system has become. They have created a system that used to function just to push their agenda, and it's awful and it's terrible. And in the Yoranthium book series, I've tried to point that out and try to explain that if you're legislating things at the speed of light, all you got is corruption. That's all that there is. And well, it's actually spoken about in the fantasy sci-fi setting. Yeah, the whole book is actually written as fiction, but it's based on a lot of real things because that's really the core of writing a story. You write what you know, and you write how you know it. Take my advice. That's how you're supposed to be writing your books. You're not supposed to be pandering to a political agenda. You're not supposed to be listening to Gazis, the globalist Nazis. You're not supposed to be allowing foreign dictators and foreign oligarchs make you pander to their message. So, I hope that you guys can get the book. I did put a link where you can pre-order the hardback book on my website, uranthiumbromley.com. It's on the link below, and you can go there. It's only $44.99, and if you order it that way, you will get an author signature on that book. So it's not the price includes the author's signature to help me get these books produced. And if you really want to help me, that's the best way to do it. You can go right through that. You can go through a PayPal account, and it'll be a quick way to do it. Of course, the book will be sent to you once I have started producing all the hardback books. I'll go and get the books. They'll come over to me, and then I'll sign all of them. I'll put my signature in there, and then I'll send it to you with a little personal message and a little thank you for doing so. And get this, I'll give you also a discount on the next book on the next book in the series that you can actually use um, to get a small 10% discount on the Book of Gentry when that book comes out. So it's a good deal. And if you use it that way, then I'll actually sign that book too. So you get two books signed by the author uh, for just helping me out trying to get the first book out. And that's what the pre-order is about. It comes out when the book's actually printed, and the pre-order is for a number of people to help me get the book published and printed out there. Because I'm trying to save costs and money and stuff. If I could actually get the 1,000 ISBNs from Bowker, that would actually help out a lot more. and it'd be great. So you guys have a great day. This is Lower Kinowealth, this second rendition. When I update this picture for the third time, I'll actually create another one about Lower Kinowealth. And you all have a great day. You have fun, and join me in the Yoranthium. Become part of the Trevelyan Hold Guild. Uh, and we'll have a lot of fun at events and other things coming up in the near future. So yeah, help me out because I've been looking at a lot of different things going on in the author world of science fiction writers, and my book Yoranthium is fantastic. It's big, it's wonderful, it's beautiful, and it is very accepting of diversity, and you'll see that it is a wonderful book. So thank you very much. I'm Mark Bromley with the Yoranthium Book Series, and hope that you get my book. Thank you.